Thanks for joining us on the NRT Now podcast, part of the largest Christian music site online, newreleasetoday.com. Sit back and relax as we chat with your favorite artists, introduce you to new artists, and more. Now here's your host, Jake.
So in this episode, we are going to talk a bit about propaganda. No, not what you're thinking. Hey, we got propaganda with us. How's it going, man?
What up?
Man, it's one of those things that you just really can't Google. You got to be really specific when you Google propaganda because it goes a whole different path.
Man, I should have thought of that so much longer ago. That just who knew search engine optimization, when you were in high school? At least I didn't. I was in high school too long ago to know that you can't you can't put a name out there that's like not search engine friendly.
Yeah. Well,
should have spelled it wrong or something.
When I was in high school, dial-up was the thing. So, Google was kind of in its baby steps, but Wikipedia wasn't even a thought. Some of the stuff there, just not even anything you would even think of.
Wouldn't have even thought of.
Now you have entire jobs.
It's an NFT.
Yeah. Now you have entire jobs that are talking about how to optimize your search results.
Make sure you're the first thing to pop up.
So you have a new album, or is it EP that came out?
It's an EP, yeah.
Just recently. So before we even talk about any of that, I want to talk about who Prop is. We should just shorten it down to Prop for this, shouldn't we?
Yeah. It's essentially that's what most people call me anyway.
Okay. So you grew up in South Central LA, is what I understand.
Yep. And South Central is where it started. I moved around a good amount in just the Southern California area to the San Gabriel Valley, to 626, which I say often, and then high school out in the Inland Empire. But yeah, South Central is where I'm from.
One of the things that I had seen in there was you grew up in a Latino neighborhood.
Mm-hmm. I did. Yeah.
I have no knowledge of LA, but it seems like South Central is like, the Latino area.
Yeah. So South Central, I'm from the east side of South Central. So the east side of South Central, there's sort of like a gray borderlands between there and this area called Huntington Park, which is like 100% Latino. And I lived right on the cutoff of where the neighborhood started to become Huntington Park. So because of that, a lot of my street was Latino. And then when I moved to the San Gabriel, to this little area called Valinda, when I moved to that little area called Valinda, like I said, in the 626, it's like 20 minutes east. At this point, it's become all Latino, So, yeah.
Let's take a pause here real quick. You're talking about 626 and the area codes. So
I'm sorry.
For those of us who grew up in the Midwest, where we have one area code for the entire state.
Oh, man, I be forgetting because I say it so much in raps, and I forget that everybody else isn't like that. We oftentimes organize our regions by area code, and then some of them just become the nickname. There's an area we call the Valley, which is still in Los Angeles per se. That's the 818 area code, so we would call that the Great 18, right? So out here, if you say I'm from the 818, then we know you mean the valleys. And like a lot of these things are interchangeable. So when if I say I'm from SGV or San Gabriel Valley or 626, we all know. If you say, hey, he from the 9, which is the 909 area code, which is a whole other county, you know what I'm saying? So this is just a way that we've just kind of shorthand communicated where we live and kind of how we. So if you I was born in LA, then I moved to the 626. I went to high school in the 9. Right now we in the 818. You know what I'm saying? So you've just told me everywhere you are.
This is like a cultural
I be
education
forgetting everybody
here.
Don't have that. Yeah.
I said, growing up in the middle of Wyoming, we still only have one area code up there, or I should say I've since moved to Texas. But, they still have the one area code. There's still a lot of places that just have the one, like you're from the 307. Cool. Where we got.
Great. That doesn't help me.
We got 100,000 square miles or however big Wyoming is, just full of nothing.
Then it gets weird when the zones get switched. So because the 626 used to be the 818, you know what I'm saying? And then they split it. 213 used to be all of Los Angeles. Then it became 310, 424, 323. So now we start saying things like 21310, which is 213 and 310, which are both Los Angeles. It gets confusing. You have to just be here.
And let's throw in the cell phone mix, because now with the cell phone, who knows where you're from? Because I still have my 307
yeah,
in the middle
doesn't
of
matter.
DFW.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, so we have the 214-469-817. That doesn't mean squat here because who knows where you got your cell phone? Who knows where it came from?
Yeah.
We can't even use that anymore.
I totally get it, especially when there's a gang of transplants. But you can only say, like, even if it's not the area code you currently have, it's the area code that you live in. You know what I'm saying? Because like I live in 213, but I have a 626 area code because I'm from the 626. You feel me?
Yep. And
anyway, this is all ridiculous. Yeah.
Totally ridiculous, but fascinating at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So kind of down that right, I'm leading to something here, but I've also read that your wife is Latino as well. Latina.
My wife is Latina. Yeah.
You forget the suffix at the end sometimes.
Sometimes. Yeah. It's all good. I mean, unless you're talking to her, then you better get it right. But
yes.
Yeah. No, yeah, my wife's first gen Latina. She was born here, spent most of her childhood in Mexico, and then kind of came back around middle school and spent out her days actually in Huntington Park, which was pretty crazy when we had the loop around and realized like we kind of grew up 10 minutes from each other. Just had no idea. Yeah.
So that's the 626, right? Am I still tracking?
No, this is actually Los Angeles. South Central and Huntington Park border each other. Man, yeah. It's all good. Don't worry about it.
I already forgot.
Yeah. Don't trip. That's why I was like, you have to just be here. We're way off the rails.
Yeah. See, I have not been to LA at all yet. Like I want to go to Dodger Stadium. I want to go to the Angel Stadium. I'm, kind of a baseball guy. Still have yet to visit that part of Cali.
So did you say Angels? Make sure I heard that right.
It's a ballpark thing. I'm a Rangers fan.
In the ballpark. So. Okay. Yeah. Angel Stadium. That's a great ballpark. I thought you were talking about the team. I would be like, okay, we're ending this convo now. Yeah.
No.
But you got to go to Shea Fez, man. You got to go to Shea Fez Regime, man. You got to see that Dodger Stadium, bro. Man, we got to see them both, but for sure.
Yeah. It's one of those things on my bucket list. I've got to go do, like visit all the ballparks. LA I haven't been there yet. I've only been East Coast, which is weird. And of course, Ranger Stadium.
Of course, man.
I slummed it.
You got to get out here.
Yeah, I do. It's gorgeous. San Diego, got to go to Petco at some point in time too.
Yes, they're great ballparks.
I think we're trailing somewhere. We get way off track already so easy on this.
Yeah.
So I guess kind of where I'm wanting to head with this a little bit. A lot of who Prop is about multicultural, bringing in the unity that comes from just having different viewpoints, different cultures all kind of mesh into one stronger, beautiful picture here. So can you talk a little bit about your passion and kind of what you do to promote some of that? I
mean, you kind of answered it in the question. I mean, yeah, that's what I do. There's beauty there. I think it's the reality of like, I feel like always the best way to explain it is like a multi-camera movie or a one-camera movie. I guess you could be artsy with that, you know what I'm saying? But you're really not getting the full picture of what it means to be human if you're not experiencing things from multiple angles. I can't see the back of my head, you know what I'm saying? As much as I wish I could, I can't. And any mirror I have is still just a reflection in the idea of like what it means to be human. You can't know out of your own eyes. You have to have more, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I see only benefits. You know what I'm saying? Like I can't. What is the drawback? What is the detriment to you except for a death of your own pride from listening to other perspectives as far as what it means to be a human on the planet that we're all in? I obviously I don't believe that all ideas aren't equal. Like I do believe some ideas are absolutely bad. Some perspectives are verifiably bad. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? But that said, the perspective is coming out of the mouth of a person who we both benefit in at least understanding how they got there.
Oh, absolutely. And that's something that I've tried to talk a lot about too, is just, I may not agree with everything that comes out of whoever's mouth, but they're there for a reason. Something along their path brought them to this point right here.
Sure.
I feel like as a Christian, I can't really say, look, you're trash, get away from me because I don't like your idea. There's still something there that you want to talk about.
But I have no problem saying your idea is trash.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like I could say, and if you've carried yourself as the carrying out of this idea, I could be like, yo, this is trash. I don't know what you want me to say, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? But that said, like you said, there is an image bearer inside of there who is worthy of dignity, not because of anything that's necessarily self-generating, you know what I'm saying? But like, you know, the worth as a believer, the worth that was placed on you, I don't get to undermine that.
I can't remember what song or where I heard this is, no matter who you're talking to, no matter what you see in front of you, no matter what they believe, they're still made in the image of God. You know, and when we're talking about loving our enemies and loving the people that, you know, maybe we don't even like, I mean, that's sometimes a tough pill to swallow, that they are still made. Yeah. They may be whack, but they're still made in that image.
Yeah, for sure. And it gets weird, man, because it's like you have someone, you know what I'm saying, who's like a danger to the rest of civilization, you know what I'm saying, who is also a person, you know? So like, yeah, obviously these are all hypotheticals, but you're like, well, what is the most loving thing to do? You know what I'm saying? Good thing that like, I've never been in face to face with like a Mussolini or a Hitler or nothing to have to actually parse this concept out. You know what I'm saying? Yes. I could sit here, you know, decades later and be like, Hitler's a bad guy. Like, I don't know what you want me to say. His ideas were awful. You know what I'm saying? But but when it comes to like, your neighbor, you know what I'm saying? Or whether the safety or the dignity of the entire tribe, you know what I mean, is being challenged by, you know, a smaller group of people, like the idea of like how parsing that out. And I think that's why like Jesus talks about like, yo, this is a third way and it's very hard and you need the Spirit. And there's no, like the Jesuits say, you have to descend into the particulars. Like I can't give you a principle to say this is how you should function every time. And I think oftentimes, specifically in our Christian space, you know, which is, let's be real, it's only 11% of the body of Christ. You know what I'm saying? We're a very small but loud part that generate a lot of money that makes us feel self-aggrandizing. But we want that answer. We want that, like, what do I do? What's the rule for this? How do I handle this? What does the Bible say about that? Like, we want that, like, that answer that I can apply, that principle I can apply to all things. And just not only does not the world that work that way, I'll push you further. The scripture don't work that way. It doesn't, like, it's not in there. Well, what does the Bible say about it? Nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know what you tell you. The Bible doesn't say anything, or it says remarkably contradicting things. I don't know what to tell you. You have to descend into the particular. You have to trust the Spirit. I don't know what to say.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of times it just really devolves down to love God, love people. Well, how do I do that? What does that look like in America politically? How do I vote? What party do I vote for? I
don't know. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know what I do. I try to vote with the idea of human dignity. I try to vote with the idea of like, this is what I say in a book I got coming up, institutionalized neighborliness. I got it from my homegirl, Nish Wyseth, brilliant lady. She said that like that voting is like the most institutionalized way that you can love your neighbor. You know what I'm saying? It's like, this is how you could carry that out, by your vote. So if I vote with my neighbor in mind, you know what I'm saying? Then I'm like, now I'm enacting. I feel like oftentimes, like, we see voting as like a way to maximize my comfort or my safety or my profits, where it's like, well, if we're in a kingdom, the Lord's kingdom's backwards. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I'm like, how do I maximize their benefit with my vote? Without, obviously not with like undermining my own dignity. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, of course, that's not what we're talking about here, but I am talking, again, descending into the particulars. I am talking about using that type of discernment and understanding that like, yo, this might be like my rudder, but every situation is different. And it's like, this is why I'm not a pastor. This is why I'm not a college professor. It's why I'm an artist. Cause I'm like, I don't know how to answer this stuff. You know what I'm saying?
No. And there's a lot of times that I have no idea. I mean, especially in this country, we're just in such a weird space, such an awkward space with everything, that as a Christian, obviously you and I are a lot different, you know, as a member of Christ's body. It's like, we're in the space of like, yes, we see this, but how do we actually take care of it? And I mean, the tough part about it, like you said, there is no specific pattern in the Bible, but one of the things that I really do believe is that we come in communion with each other and we talk to each other. We have conversations with each other. Like what you were saying earlier, we need all those voices together to make us better.
Yeah.
God built us for community for a very specific reason.
Yeah.
you know, and now that we've spent the last however long it's been isolated from each other, you know, we've been watching it through social media, through CNN, through Fox News, through, you know, whatever it is, not in communion with each other. And I think that's something that's really hit us hard over the last year.
It exacerbated things that, you know, made it easier to do what we wanted to do, which is stay to ourselves and keep around us what was comfortable. It made it very easy to do it. Yeah.
Kind of the point, like, I think we've lost our voice and that communication with each other, you know, and we've become very polarized in the middle of all this, where everything has now become a political issue or, you know, a talking point or something like that. Now we're not talking with each other and making it better. We're making our stand on whatever point that we're making, that we want to make our stand on.
Yeah. I always buck at the term culture wars. Cause again, like as the song, the music that we're interviewing over is, I mean, we are the culture. The culture is not separate from us. I can't be at war with it. It's us. But for the sake of the discussion, I feel like, like in a time where, again, the things that were there the whole time have just been brought to light and really exacerbated. What we do see is like, all things being turned into a culture war. And it's very frustrating. Like a virus, wearing a mask. I don't understand how we let this become a partisan issue. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you soaking. So it's like my homeboy, Robert Evans, like he says, his example is like, it's almost like if there was a flood that took out millions of people and President Biden goes, hey, you guys should use rafts to get out of the flood zone. Then all of a sudden a raft becomes, well, I'm not using a raft, you know, like I'll drown in this water. It's like, bro, man, like it don't all gotta be a culture war. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a part of me that really mourns that, you know what I'm saying? That I feel like in that sense, although it's not like our hands are clean, we have absolutely been weaponized against each other. We've been hoodwinked. You know what I'm saying? Bamboozled. You know what I'm saying? Nice. But again, like I say this as not to say that like it's just them, and if we fix them, that's the problem. Because again, them is us. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So our hands are still dirty in this. You feel me? But it's again like going back to like there's this third wave, the third way of like how do you get outside of that and say, hey man, you know, using the mask thing, hey, I don't want to die, dog. You know what I'm saying? I don't want random strangers to die. I mean, it's a virus, dog. Like hey man, I don't care. It's just a virus. I don't want to catch a virus. Yeah. That's easy. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know.
Well, and just everything else. I mean, obviously race has been a huge issue. Politics has been a huge issue. I mean, so much stuff has just been there. And, you know, I think we lose sight that, you know, once we get polarized on an issue, once we take our political stand, maybe just even personal philosophical stand. And apparently philosophical is a big word today.
Apparently.
You know, we lose the sight to be able to communicate with each other and have conversations, you know, a lot of these conversations that we need to have because we can't do anything about it. Like I said, no matter what side you're looking at it from, you know, right, left, center, whatever, we can't do anything about it until we actually talk to each other and stop fighting each other from opposite sides of the fence.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what really breaks my heart with so much of the stuff. It comes up and it kind of gets tossed around a little bit. And then it dies again when it's not convenient anymore for whatever purpose.
Yeah, man. For real.
Let's talk a little bit about what this means as far as the new EP that comes out, or where that flows into the new EP, I should say.
Yeah.
Some of these concepts that we were kind of talking about have made it into this EP, or are essential to this EP, I would say. Talk about turning those, and then bringing in the collabs with that, like V Rose I saw was in this, Lecrae was in this as well.
Yeah, so the collabs have specifically happened pretty organically, but you know this EP sits in it's a piece of a full body of work. They're all called Terraform. So this particular EP is one of 4. So it's Terraform, The People. There's 3 more coming that have other, you know, sort of subtitles. So specifically, I am talking about this idea of how culture is made and then how culture turns around and makes us from the perspective of we've set up these institutions, these ideas, these silos, right? They come from us. We made them up. Our borders, our nation states, we made them all up, man. Political parties, they're made up. But then this thing that we made up starts making us. You know what I'm saying? And now I've decided, because of this thing I made up, that this person is off limits. This person is unsafe. This person is other than me. You know what I'm saying? Yep. And now I've literally shaped my brain, again, back to the culture war thing. Like, you can turn something into a culture war that wasn't, but it's because we've let it make us. Now, that's just how culture is made, for the good or bad, because it doesn't exist in nature. Culture is humans trying to live with each other. You know, so if that's the case, and the things that we've made are a detriment to us, well, let's make things that are a benefit to us. Let's make it awesome. If we get to make it up, let's make it amazing. So this was the idea around the People EP. So I was going back and forth in the idea of like, it's us. We are who we're looking for. You know what I'm saying? Yep. And we get to tear down the things that are killing us and rebuild things that'll bring us together, keep us alive. You know what I'm saying? So that's the idea for the album. And I was just trying to go back and forth between deconstruction and reconstruction throughout the album. Yeah.
So we'll kind of wind this down here, because I know we're kind of getting towards your time limit here, but just want to wind it down as far as what that means for the church. We've talked a little bit about the third option, but you know, just what that means for the church going forward, whether we're Republican or Democrat or moderate, liberal, conservative, whatever that is, whatever we self-identify ourselves as from the culture standpoint, like you said, whatever that has made us into, what does that look like as the church moves forward in your mind?
It's hard, man. It's hard, because I think about culture from a 10,000 foot perspective. The church is a member of earth. To me, what consistently has happened just throughout, I don't know who or what's been to seminary. I don't understand why seminary doesn't have history and sociology and anthropology in their studies, because I feel like you would know these things, that like the church has never been any different than where the rest of the world was at, because the church is filled with the humans from the rest of the world. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not aliens, you're this, like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, we are exactly the way the nation is. Yep. Right. So for us to sit in our churches and be like, well, look how bad the evil one is wrecking the nation. I'm like, you are the nation. Yeah. What are you talking about? Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. You got the same problems everybody else does. So to me, it's like, okay, let's drop our pretenses. Stop lying to yourself. Self-aggrandizing, like you somehow different than everybody else. Oh, because your doctrines say so. The doctrines say you strangers and pilgrims. Well, you sure don't seem like it to me. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, and what does that even mean? You understand what I'm saying? What is the phrase? If you telling me the difference between you and your neighbor is your notions, is the way that you think the earth was made, that's the difference? That's it. You don't drink, smoke, or chew, then I'm like, I don't understand. Then you don't understand salvation. If you're telling me that these things are what makes you different, I don't know where you're getting that from. So to me, it's like, my first thought is we have to really stop being delusional about ourselves, our role in the world, our place in the world, and what does our notions actually imply, rather than being so worried about getting them correctly, getting them right. What does it imply? What is our way of being in the world? Conservative, liberal, like they're relative terms in the sense of like, compared to what? Like, you're conservative compared to what? And you're conserving something. Are we all conserving something? Are we all trying to protect something? You know what I'm saying? And if you're progressing from somewhere to something. It's just, I don't know. People call me a progressive, but I'm like, compared to who? Right? I have these ideas that like, I mean, Canada does the stuff that I think, you know, like, this bastion of communism in Canada, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what is you talking about? Like, I'm not like, these is basic ideas. You understand what I'm saying? So my answer to the church is like, man, you gotta stop. Like, you say you're not of the world, but yet you let the world define your categories. You've let them define it, all the way down to something as silly as like, what is a cuss word? You let the culture define you. You talking about who says who? You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, you're appealing to the world while saying you're not of it. So drop the pretense. We are members of the planet. And as members of the planet, we have a role just like everybody else got a role. You need to play your role well because you hold to a transcendent God. You hold to a God that sits above all of our institutions, even above our understanding of those institutions. I'm getting way off the rails here, and y'all could call me whatever y'all want, but like, and you could quote me, I don't care how much trouble you just send them to me. I ain't afraid. But like understanding that language, words, written text, that's beneath God. Do you understand what I'm saying? So the very vehicle for which you understand your faith is already a diminishing of him because it's still just a human construct. So what I'm saying is like, you're dealing with things that are greater than the vehicles that they're carried in. If you honestly believe in a God that is transcendent, then you should understand that any of your attempts are still a diminishing. So carry some humility. Move through the world in a way that understands that like, yo, the Father's, it's transcendent. It's above us all. It's above us. You know what I'm saying? You carry that humility and you move forward in the world with that type of humility, understanding that you're just a member of the planet. I don't understand the delusion. You're a member. You're here. I think of culture at 10,000 foot. So that's kind of a 10,000 foot answer.
Man, I'm just sitting here kind of blown away with some of that. I mean, just that concept of in the world, but not of the world. I'm just sitting here thinking about like what my thoughts are, you know, what my view, my constructs of that is. And it's just,
yeah. I mean, the Bible do say it.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? But I don't think we ever really understood it. You know what I'm saying? Because in my mind, I think one of the best pictures of that is Daniel.
Yep.
And you're like, rather than being the Essenes or like the idea of the Pharisee, or like, let's just parachute out of culture and build our own civilization with our own coffee shops, industry, and schools and stuff like that. That's not what Daniel did. Daniel worked, like, let this sink in. Daniel worked for Nebuchadnezzar. He worked for him and was an amazing employee. He made Nebuchadnezzar a ton of money. And I'm like, was he of Babylon? They called him Belshazzar. It's a Babylonian name. Yep. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, so changed his name. You know what I'm saying? So he changed his name. He worked for the king, made a lot of money for him. But he understood like, but I'm not made in your image. So I'll work here. It's fine. I'll do whatever you got. I'll do whatever you need me to do. I'm just not bowing to your image because I'm not made in it. So how do I not bow into those images? Well, to me, in my mind, I'm like, I don't work like this kingdom works. So I'm like, I make rap music. Yeah, like I don't know what to say. Yeah, I pay my taxes. Yeah. I mean, I'm not fighting. I say cuss words. Why? Because it doesn't matter. You understand what I'm saying? What does matter is when you ask me again, who do I render my service to? I'm like, I'm made in the image of God, bow down to the image I'm made in. And what he says is that rulers serve, right? He says you seek first the kingdom. And how do I seek first the kingdom? He already told me, when you saw that homeless person, when you saw that person in jail and you fed them, you fed me. I'm like, oh, well, that's how I move. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, I mean, and I think that's how we can be in the world, but not of the world.
Yeah.
Right now, you know, I can have a good job. You know, I can, like you said, pay your taxes. You can do all the stuff of the world. I can go to a concert. I can go to a baseball game. Like all that's great. You know, that's of the world, or that's worldly, quote unquote, whatever. But where the difference is where your heart is, and who do you serve? Do you serve selflessly? Do you serve God? Like you said, are you is your viewpoint made in the image of God? Do we act differently? If somebody wrongs us, do we act differently than the world does when somebody wrongs us? And I think that's where that's more practical separation, other than I'm going to just go find my cave and live there until.
Totally.
Well, man, I know we've hit our time. Man, I just want to say thanks for having this conversation with me. Just,
man,
I think it was such a good conversation for me to just sit and listen to you. I know you said it was off the rails, but bro, I think it was like way on the rails.
Yeah. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Fun times, Doc.
Thanks for hanging out with us for this episode of the NRT Now podcast. Be sure to subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, or wherever you listen to podcasts. And special thanks to Neon Feather for providing our theme music. Make sure to check out newreleasetoday.com and our socials for more great content. See you next episode.